like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. Thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, money like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right, welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all for being alive. A round of applause for the mighty Who Dat Nation. Appreciate all you guys for being in this thing. Shout out to you guys. Much love, fam. Appreciate y'all for this late live, man. We're gonna be in here. Gonna talk a little black and gold tonight, man. And of course, we know that the Saints training camp, man, it kicks off this week. Matter of fact, the Saints have a press conference with Kellen Moore and Mickey Loomis that they have set up for tomorrow after 2:00 Central Time. So that'll be interesting here. Kellen Moore and Mickey Loomis, that'll be tomorrow at 2:00 Central Time, already set up. So we'll be looking forward to covering that on our Patreon special. Usually that falls on Tuesday. Shout out to the OG, Young City 9. Appreciate y'all for being in the stream. If you're in the building, give me a who dat, and I give you a who dat back. Shout out to everybody in the live. Do me a service. Hit that like button and share. As always, it's always a good thing to share as well. So as you can see, the Saints going to be fun and interesting, man, going into this training camp. And like I said, this is I ain't going to say the first step, because there were many different steps in the offseason that ultimately led the Saints to this portion. It's just one of many, right? We had the OTAs, we had the draft, we had free agency. Those are multiple steps. Now we put all of those facets together, from the draft, the free agency, the undrafted guys, the new additions to the coaching staff, the new philosophy. All of that now is culminating to a point where it's the beginning of that, to see if we can mesh all of the individual pieces into a successful whole group. That's where it starts. So that's going to be fun watching that occur here. And in terms of that, we'll see what happens going into this upcoming season. So we'll have 15 questions that we'll go over. Shout out to our contributor on the WhoDatDaily.com. If y'all don't know about the WhoDatDaily.com, links in the description section below. Full news site that covers everything, man. Sports from New Orleans culture, all kind of stuff. Food, music, entertainment, the politics, sports, all that stuff is covered. Full service, WhoDatDaily.com. We in full effect. Much love. All right. Links in the description. Let's get right into the stories, man, and kind of cover some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. Shout out to the Saints Wire. They did an article kind of giving us a bit of, a little injury report heading into camp, right? So who's going to be ready to go in camp? And I appreciate them for doing this, because, the Saints tomorrow we'll get some rock solid information on who's available. They'll answer some things that we hadn't been able to kind of gather. We'll know some of that. What's up, Colorado? Shout out to Colorado. Much love to you, fam. Appreciate you. Mr. Richard, how you doing, sir? Jack, how you doing, my man? Mall and Mall, shout out to you guys. Appreciate y'all for being in the live tonight. Much love. Hit the like button for me, fam. All right, so here we go. Saints wire. Saints have been a team suffering an exceptional number of injuries over the course of the last 5 or so. Unfortunately, this somehow pushed the team in terms of their ceiling, and that was seen to be the extent in 2024 when the Saints offense was unstoppable through 2 weeks, and then Pro Bowl center Eric McCoy went down. It all came crashing back to earth. The good news, the team is getting quite a bit younger on average and healthier over the course of the offseason. Many of the players who ended up in the 2024 season injured already are growing close to being ready for the 25 season. So with that in mind, let's take a look at which players ended up in the 2024 injury. So who is ready from that bunch who is still recovering? So sectioning off who's ready to go and who's not. Which players ended in the 2024 season with injuries? There is a list of players on offense. Of course, Taysom Hill, Elvin Kamara, Eric McCoy, running back Kendre Miller, wide receiver Chris Olave, Nick Sell-DeVary, Rashid Shaheed, Foster Moreau, the tight end. On defense, Jalen Ford, DeMarco Jackson, Pete Werner, Rajon Wright, and cornerback Dallas Beenum. So that's a couple of the players. Few players came off their respective injuries before last week of the season, including Tanu Passanio, who's no longer a member of the team, Bub Means. Additionally, many of the players who suffered setbacks have left the team, such as Paulson Adebo, Derek Carr, Justin Herron, Lucas Patrick, and Cam Peterson, right? Who among those injured at the end of last season participated in minicamp? AK-41, McCoy, Kendre Miller, Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and on defense, Jalen Ford, DeMarco Jackson, Pete Werner, and Rajon Wright, who still remain out as the full last minute practice as of the last day of the 25 minicamp, which ran from June the 10th to the 11th. That was the last session that was canceled, right? So the who of those players remain off the field to respective setbacks. Rookies, Jonas Sanker had an undisclosed minor setback. Defensive tackle Omari Thomas undisclosed. Veterans Taysom Hill with the torn ACL. Foster Moreau with a knee issue. Offensive lineman Nick Sell-DeVary had a knee, and I remember a calf issue just recently, right? Dallas Beenum undisclosed. All told, Saints expect to have most hands on deck when they regroup for training camp. Players report for work and go through the conditioning test on Tuesday. So players go to work, go through conditioning. There's physicals involved to see if everybody's all right. And then a handful of them could open up camp on the physically unable to perform list, or the puppy list, as we affectionately called it. But that normally isn't a big deal. They can be evaluated at any time. Last year's starting lineup and this spring's rookie draft class are all expected to be available for the first practice session in front of the family members on the 23rd of July. So relatively, most of the black and gold family of the team is ready. Now, we do realize that guys like Taysom Hill are not going to be available right away. We do understand that. We know he had the most significant of the injuries from last year with the torn ACL, nasty injury that required some extra time. So a lot of the we'll get a update or a timeline on Taysom Hill. But from last time we heard something, Mickey Loomis was asked a question, and he kind of pushed his recovery time, by the looks of it. We didn't give a date, but he pretty much said, that's something down the line, which kind of indicates that he won't be ready, definitely won't be ready for the start of the regular season. And it could be something that could be the team could have him ready by maybe the midway of the season or perhaps later. I'm looking at perhaps later. We'll see how fast he rehabs and get backs from that thing. But the most of these guys should be ready to go because that's big. We're going to need these guys in camp to kind of handle the business. So anyway, let's get into some of this stuff. Now, we did realize that the Saints ultimately, just a few days ago, did sign Tyler Shuck, got his contract out of the way, got him ready for camp just in time, right? A lot of the second rounders signed. The great vast majority of them signed. I think the only one that didn't sign was the guy from the Bengals who contemplating going back to college. That's something different. And then outside of that, you kind of look at the Saints did pick up a defensive tackle and bring him in, and here as well, we covered that. And there could be others, right? There could be others that we could potentially see. We talked about this. Could there be guys? Because I'm telling you, the Saints start doing the physicals. Some people might not be ready to go. Some guys might, shift up and come to the team. And there are still a few people that are available in terms of that. So let's kind of look at in terms of free agency before we jump into it. What people could be available for the Saints at key positions, right? Still know Keenan Allen's out there. He's worked with Kellen Moore before. We do ultimately realize that they worked together before in Charger land. This could be something that he could look at. Amari Cooper was another wide receiver that Kellen Moore worked with his time in Dallas. The Saints ultimately did bring in Gabe Davis, the fantastic, speedy wide receiver who played with the Bills and the Jags. They brought him in for a look-see. Y'all remember that? So the top 3 free agents the Saints have a connection to, which is extremely interesting, right? That's extremely interesting that Keenan Allen and both Amari Cooper are familiar with Kellen Moore from his time with the Chargers and the Cowboys. And then, of course, Gabe Davis came in for a look-see by the Saints, right? He didn't get signed. I think he's still available out there. So these are some of the wide receivers. This is one of the groups that a lot of the Who Dat Nation will look at and say, hey, man, you know what? That's a position group that ultimately the Saints should consider looking to, right? And then, of course, we kind of looked at other positions as well. We know the Saints have some stuff going on. How about if the Saints perhaps could use a tight end? There's some tight ends available. There's just Noah Fant just got released by Seattle, big old tight end, but just almost 28 years of age, 6 years in the league, big tight end. Gerald Everett, an old veteran, is available. They got several other veterans that are available if the Saints want to add another vet to an inexperienced group. If you get from the top spot, which is Juwan Johnson, got the 3-year contract at $30 million contract, ranked 12th in the NFL in terms of that. Foster Moreau still dealing with an issue. We talked about, I think he had a knee problem or whatever it is. He's supposed to be ready to go, but how farther along in this rehab process is he? The Saints could ultimately benefit by having another veteran tight end, a cheap replacement. But perhaps the Saints are looking to try to develop some of these younger guys like a Dalen Holker or maybe perhaps Matavo. These could be interesting. Then, of course, we keep it moving. We look at the tackle position in terms of the Saints are concerned, and we kind of look at it and say, hey, man, with everything that's going on with the Saints from the perspective of needing help offensively, right? Veteran help at one of the most keen positions is the tackle position. Right now, the Saints have Josh Ball. They have Langdon. What's his name? Behind him. There's also it's just whatever it is. I just don't feel comfortable with. I'm not good with none of these backup tackles, to be honest with you. If something were, God forbid, happen to one of our tackles, I really don't feel comfortable with the backups that are behind the starters right now, right? So in that feat, you might want to consider perhaps bringing in a veteran offensive tackle that can play both tackle positions, having a little security there, a lot of security there, uh, you know, just in case things get a little rocky on that front. So these are some of the guys still available. Tyron Smith is a 14-year veteran who's still out there on the market. Jedrick Willis, George Fant. We talk about Noah Fant. How about his brother George Fant? Andrews Pete is still out there and they got quite a few others that's available. Just a few of the names that are available for the Saints in terms of tackles, because you want to at least have a veteran you can rely on if something goes funny. How about a center? If the guy is not Will Clapp, right? What if Clapp is not the answer? These are a few guys too. David Andrews, a 10-year vet. You see Burnskill, another veteran there. Dan Feeney and a few others are available for cheap options just in case. Just saying, this is a few other guys still available out there on the free agent wire. And of course, the defense, not even talk about the defense go all the way. The Saints have done a lot of improvement to the defensive line. They've had linebackers. I think a position that the Saints ultimately are still looking for some help on. We kind of see the rumor mill spinning is the cornerback position. Are the Saints comfortable with the cornerbacks that they have? A lot of people don't believe that. There is a mixture of people that you can bring in. We know we got still have some pieces there. We brought in, the veteran here as well to come in and kind of help out on a $9 million deal. We bring them in here. But this is really what's interesting, that we have all these other guys that's still available that you can go for. Shanti Samuel Jr. was a guy that was rumored by the Saints that they were looking at possibly bringing in. They brought him in for a look-see. There was rumors saying that he is still interested in playing for the Saints, and he is undersized but plays with a lot of heart. We can't get past that. The fact that the guy plays with a hell of a lot of heart and could definitely help the Saints. But could there be better options? You see what I'm saying? In terms of depth that's out there in the free agent pool besides Ashanti Samuel Jr., right? Smallish cornerback, but very impactful. These are some guys. How about Bradbury, 8-year veteran? Carolina played with them last year with the Eagles. You know how that's that Eagle connection with Kellen Moore. Could that be something? It's quite a few. So it really depends. Like I said, when you talk about some of these guys, I'm not too comfortable if something would happen to our tackles with Josh Ball or Landon Young, right? Cornerback position is another thing to be kind of looking at. The Saints did, draft Quincy Riley. They did bring in some other help there, some undrafted guys to kind of help out there. They did. They still have Rico Payton. A lot of people like Rico Payton. Isaac Yiadom was another dude that the Saints, that brought in on the deal because they couldn't land the other guy that they want, but they were still looking for people. So outside of that, Kendall Fuller, Stephon Gilmore, Rasul Douglas, Mike Hilton, CJ Henderson, just a few guys that's still out there that's available if the Saints have it in their mind, say, hey, man, we could use some help there, right? So these are just some of the positions right now currently, and some of these guys ultimately going to probably end up getting signed as we get ready for camp. You know what I'm saying, as it get closer and closer to camp. So it's all in a matter of time. What's up, Chantel? Shout out to Chantel. Appreciate you for being in the live. Much love to Chantel. The Queen's in the building. Much love. All right. And also appreciate Mr. Who Dat. Big up to you, my brother. Much love. 504 Cole says Q. You think Bullet is worth 10 million guaranteed and only 6.5 sacks? This is a Staley thing, man. And I think the Saints aren't afraid of any money right now. I don't think some of these guys. Richard says Smith is retired. Okay, thank you, Richard. All right, what's up, B Rock? Shout out to you, my brother. But could it be? That's steep for a guy that potentially might not make the team because they they got a lot of defensive guys there, man. When you talk about on the defense, you're running a 34 unit, right? So it's not like a 4-3 where you would kind of have a little extra there just in case. At 34 unit, you kind of want to you got 4 linebackers out there, so you got to kind of have a little extra backup, backups for the linebackers if something were to happen there. But you got guys there with the Cam Jordan, and they had Jonathan Bullitt there. Jonas Williams is another guy. Jonah Williams is going to play in the position. Nate, you still got Nate Shepard. You still have guys like Vernon Brockton and Brian Bresee. Those guys obviously going to get in there. Cam Jordan still there. So where do these guys fit? So we'll see how it all plays out. But Coach Staley has been just given talent, right? Especially up front. The defensive line, they really felt like, hey, man, we have to improve up front. If we're going to make the base shift, we got to have these versatile defensive linemen that could move. We could be able to move around and do whatever they want. They traded for Divine Gacho. They still read up with Colin Saunders and Nate Shepard. They reworked their deals. Christian Boyd still on the team. They brought in Jonah Williams. Omari Thomas, another guy that they brought in to help there. They drafted Vernon Broughton a couple of years ago. They had Brian Bresee. So eventually, sometimes they kind of reshaping the defensive line. You had guys that were playing defensive ends now shifted to the linebacker position. Chase and Carl Granderson shifted there. They added other talent on the linebacker. Foskey made the shift to linebacker. Jacine Davis was brought in. Tyrene Powell was brought in as undrafted guys. They drafted Fadil Diggs. They signed Chris Rump II, another guy that's familiar with Staley. They added Stutzman to go along with that and brought back guys like Nephi Sewell, solid linebacker types. They added Justin Reed in the secondary, drafted Jonas Sanker and Quincy Riley. They added a bunch of undrafted guys to kind of fortify the room. And the Saints were still looking, like I said, about Ashanti Samuel Jr. So only time will tell, exactly what they would do. But these are just some options that's out there. Thanks for the question, bro. All right, big ups. What's up, JT? Shout out to you, my man. Appreciate you for being in the live. Much love to y'all. Let's keep it going, and let's jump right here into the article. Shout out to the WhoDatDaily.com. what this article our Saints contributor wrote. Much love on that. 15 burning questions for the New Orleans Saints headed into the 2025 training camp. And these are some of the questions that we want to know about the black and gold and how it will go. Right. So heading into the 25 training camp, Saints face a number of critical questions that will determine the trajectory of the season. With new leadership under Coach Moore, a retooled offense, new defensive faces brought in by Staley. Training camp will be the ultimate proving ground. 15 burning questions. This is based upon Niles Carpenter, our contributor's questions on. He had a really good article. If you want to go, you can go to whothatdaily.com and share that article. That would be nice. All right. So anyway, the offensive questions. Number one of those 15 questions, who will be the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints? With Derek Carr now retired, the spotlight falls on rookie Tyler Shough and second-year quarterback Spencer Rattler. Both bring different styles and strengths, and their battle will dominate the headlines through camp. What's up, Cartel? Shout out to you, brother. Appreciate you being in the live. This is the thing to kind of talk about, fam, when we discuss, who will be the starting quarterback going into the upcoming season. Who's the starting quarterback? Yet to be determined. But my thing is, even though I think so far, I think Spencer Rattler has it. I think he has it a little bit. He's a little ahead of him because of his experience. You cannot. Spencer Rattler ain't playing no games. He's been working all off season. His temperament. He's been cool, calm, and collected. He's focused, and his goal is fixated on becoming a starting quarterback. A massive chip on his shoulder, right? The difference is both of those. I love both of the will and the grit of both these young quarterbacks. We had interviews that we played. You see the composure of a young, focused Spencer Rattler and the heart and toughness of a young Tyler Shough. These guys are gritty, composed, good people, good players, and the battle is going to be a very respectable, tough battle, right? It ain't going to be nasty because both of these guys are going to be helping themselves, and ain't going to be some junk like we seen happen when when Brett Favre was operating with Green Bay. He didn't want to help Aaron Rodgers. It's famous about that Aaron Rodgers was saying that when he was in Green Bay that Brett Favre ain't helped him, and he was cussing and said he ain't help him with what? He ain't help him with shit. That's what he was. That's what he said. He ain't helping with nothing. He ain't giving them no credit. But because he didn't want him to be there, he felt threatened by him, right? Because they knew he was the heir apparent. Apparently he didn't like it. And some of that Rodgers did to Jordan Love. You know what I'm saying? He did some of that to Jordan Love. But the bottom line is we won't have that type of energy because regardless if it's Tyler Shough or Spencer Rattler, we're going to have good quarterbacks to guide this team. And listen, let me tell you, if injuries hit one of these quarterbacks, regardless of who is the next guy is going to step up and make it pop. So we're in a good shape as far as that concerned, in my humble estimation, about what's going on with Tyler Shough or Spencer Rattler. I think Spence is a little ahead of him right now, but Tyler's got his money. And let me say this before I move on to the next thing, because it's a little bit of a difference. The difference that I see outside of the physical traits, like you got a 6'5" Tyler Shough, tall guy, athletic, moves around, stand tall in the pocket. Spencer Rattler, a little shorter, athletic quarterback, intelligent, headed guy, big arm. Both of them got big arms. Accuracy need to be improved with both. Spence might be a little bit better, but this is the thing. That who gets the chip, the big chip on their shoulder? Both of them got chips on their shoulder. Spencer Rattler was taken in the 5th round. He felt like he was a quarterback that should have got picked up early on. He felt like he was a guy that should have been maybe in the 2nd or 3rd round. No way he felt like he was a 5th round quarterback. We know that, right? And he downplays the chip, but feeds off the chip. So he don't focus on. He plays with the chip. Most great ones play with a chip on their shoulder because they felt like, for some way, because of their talents, they got disrespected. where their draft status was. So they do all about the business to make you pay. That's what kind of mentality that Spencer Rattler have. It's a little different in terms of Tyler Shough, because Tyler Shough was not seen by many people as a second round quarterback. He wasn't. So he was taken higher than many of them thought he should go, right? But the chip for him is proving, not to us so much to say, but to himself, that he can stay healthy and guide an NFL offense and basically, kind of fortify, to Mickey, and not Mickey, but the coach, that, hey man, you made the right choice taking me in the second round. It's a little bit different. Nobody's seen Spencer Rattler. I mean, not Spencer Rattler. Tyler Shough as a second round quarterback. A lot of those and it's no disrespect to Tyler, he knows that. A lot of those quarterbacks wasn't supposed to go where they went. They were reaching on quarterbacks, grasping on quarterbacks, and most of these guys ain't gonna be ready to play right away. The guy with the Giants, I don't think he'll be ready to play right away. You see what I'm saying? But the thing that helps Tyler Shough is the fact that he is advanced in age. If it's not like 2 or 3 years old, right? It's a guy that just walking in, he's 22, 21, 22, 23, trying to learn. This guy 20, he's going to be 20. What is he, 25 now? Like 25 years old. He's going to be what, 26 in September? So the guy is like 4 years off of 30 years old. That he got to get it, baby. So yeah, he married. I don't know if he got kids, but I know he married. He's 26 years. He going 26. Goddamn, he better. As a young quarterback, he is mature. I'll give you that. 7 years of college. Good Lord. But at the end, that boy should be a doctor. He should be Dr. Shough. You spent 7 years in school. And you ain't get out of that with a doctorate or master or something. I don't know. But anyway, that's a lot there to be. Yeah, he got took at the second round, and Spencer got took in the fifth round. Spencer, and a lot of people felt Spencer should have went a lot higher than what he did. A lot of people thought Tyler was supposed to go a little lower. But nonetheless, they both play with chips on their shoulders. It's kind of drawing out the difference. What's up, Farouk? Shout out to my brother Farouk out there. Much love. What's up, Ray Ray? Shout out to you, man. All right, so let's go to the next one. Who be the starting quarterback? Ultimately, in the end, I think I would like Spencer Rattler to get it because I like Spencer Rattler. But listen, no disrespect to Tyler Shough. I like Tyler Shough too. I think Tyler Shough kind of showed some stuff to us about his mentality. I love the fact that regardless of what happened from a health standpoint and the injuries, he kept to his goal, he kept his dream, and he made it manifest. He became a quarterback. He showed somebody, because all you have to do is to show one team that, hey man, take a chance on me. I won't let you down. Only you have to prove it to everybody, just one team. And he showed the Saints that, hey man, I could be that guy for you if you give me a shot. Well, you got to, if Tyler is going to be in camp, it's going to be a battle between him and Spencer Rattler. I already told you that. The room is tilted toward Tyler Shough, obviously, because Tyler was drafted by Kellen Moore, right? He was drafted by Kellen Moore. He's advanced in age, at going to be 26, whatever it is. So he has to hit the floor running right away, right? And he has to get into the starting job right away because of age and all those aforementioned things. But the floor is tilted toward Tyler Shough to start. The only way Spencer Rattler gets this thing, if Spencer has to come in there and he has to make it, he has to blow him out of the water. It can't be a competition. It can't be close. If it is close, they're going to go to Shough. You know that, and I know that, is that if it's close, they're going to go with Tyler Shough because that's Kellen's guy. Even though Kellen say, hey, man, Spencer this, Spencer that. The guy that drafted Spencer Rattler is no longer with the team. He's gone. He up there, he's gone. The dumb coach and his offensive coordinator, they're somewhere else. So the guy that came in, this is his handpicked successor. And if he felt some kind of way about the previous quarterback, it wouldn't be no need to take this other guy. You just kind of fortify him with a veteran. But be that as it may, this is Tyler. It's tilted toward Tyler. Y'all put that together. Let's move to the number 2 question. Can the offense thrive under Kellen Moore? Kellen Moore and offensive coordinator Dougie Nussmeier bring a fresh offensive identity? Will the Saints personnel adapt quickly to a modern motion-based offense? Yes, they will. It ain't going to be instant, but the thing is, I know it is a lot easier in the NFL to learn to run the ball versus passing the ball, because a lot of times passing is based on running the ball, right? Because running the ball is easy, right? It is elementary. You get this big guy and that big guy and this big guy, that big guy and that big guy, and tell them, hey, listen, we want to run over there. And we got this running back here. You get them other guys the hell out of the way so we can go over there. That's bottom line. So you put hands on these guys and you remove them and create space for your guys to run behind there and make some stuff work. Very simple concepts. We don't have to complicate it, right? Very simple. So then if you have all these different motion schemes and all this kind of stuff, that kind of flips things, and you get a little complicated there, because like we seen the first 2 weeks of last year when Kubiak was talking about all this other stuff about what they want to do, and it only showed in 2 games, right? And then 2 games, then you lose McCoy, it all changes. I was never a lover of the fact that the center was doing all this. If the center gonna do call for protections on the line, we understand that most centers, that's the duty. But the goddamn quarterback got to know that too. By trying to simplify the game plan by burdening the center or not allowing the quarterback to learn what the center learns so he can make the shifts and be on top of his game, that to me was just made things worse for the quarterback. So whatever happens in terms of that, the intelligence, that guy, they need to have that. They need to understand what's going on out there. They have to understand how to read the defenses. They have to understand to keep the cadence. They have to be able to know how to audible out of a run because you see them stacking the box, to a pass to take advantage of them. They got to have to see if you see safeties cheating or linebackers cheating. You're going to have to make those changes at the line, and living live at the line and reading what the defense is giving you and shifting or shaking or adjusting to something else, depending on the overall intelligence of the Saints offense. Now, we know McCoy is smart. We know all these guys are smart. How fast can they adapt to the philosophies and principles that Coach Moore is going to bring? Well, that depends on the running attack, because the running attack will buy time for everything else to develop. It's just simple as that. And I'm pretty sure most of these quarterbacks know how to operate a play action style offense. They know how to run RPO if they need to. You see what I'm saying? You got both of these quarterbacks, athletic guys. We got athleticism all over the team, so we can adjust, adapt, and do whatever the hell we want to do, right? So we'll see. It all depends. I think they can, but we have to get to the run, because you have to win as you learn. You do not be like the New Orleans Pelicans Summer League team. You out there, you're losing games, but the game is to win as you learn, to win more than you lose as you learn, because you're learning something doesn't always give you the right to lose because you're learning. You have to win as much as you can while you learn, or you won't be here very long. That's why they pay you the big bucks. I know it don't sound fair on all this kind of old stuff, but this is the cantankerous, high energy, high paid world of the NFL. We paying you the big bucks. Therefore, you must produce as fast as you humanly possibly can. It's just what it is, right? Especially if you come into a pressure cooker situation like New Orleans that has been flamming and bull crapping around this whole time, right? With dumb head coaches and bad decisions and excuses and not wanting to fix anything. And it wasn't because, and remember, it was the people that got that other guy fired, not that other man. He was forced to adapt after you got that guy out of here. So after fiddling around with 4 years of bull crap, people are going to be patient to a fault, right? Up to a line. They're going to show some patience because there's some new stuff here. We understand it's a learning process, but you don't have a long leash on that. because you're not living in the competitive. You ain't like you in a division where you in the NFC East. You got Washington on the move. Philly just won a championship. Dallas trying to do some stuff. You see what I'm saying? You got competitive teams and they're all clawing and popping at each other to get that. That's not the NFC South. We got some good teams, but a lot of these guys are still learning, right? So you got to get it going. So running the ball is key to all the success that we're gonna have, and it helps out all these other complex schemes you want to run after the fact, right? All right, number 3, will the depth at wide receiver be positioned? Well, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed are locked in, but injuries and inconsistencies exposed the lack of reliable depth last year. Who steps up? This is a great question. Great question that Niles put together. Now, the wide receivers that the Saints currently have, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, both coming off injury. An experienced Brandon Cooks who still has speed, right? Well, I know a lot of people have given Brandon Cooks, he didn't get the kind of, and listen, man, to be honest, I never thought that Brandon Cooks would be a Saint again. I'm just going to be honest with you. So I guess it really didn't sink into me yet, even though we signed him a while ago, that he's a Saint again, right? But the bottom line is we wanted a wide receiver. We just wanted a taller one. No disrespect to Brandon Cooks, because Brandon Cooks can still provide depth for you. He's still a burner. He's smart with his route running. He's an incredibly versatile athlete. So from a perspective, we a lot of the people, and I know he kind of feels some kind of way, because a lot of people like, man, what the hell is he doing here? Man, what the hell is you doing here? Oh, I just signed. I'm just trying to make a living. Now, but the bottom line is, shout out to Brandon Cooks, man. It's not that. It's just the fact that we wanted to have a bigger physical wide receiver to complement Chris Olave. We thought that guy would be MVS. We thought it would be MVS or an MVS type statured player, a guy that's 6'3", 6'4", that has speed, that works perfectly opposite of a Chris Olave with Rashid Shaheed in the slot. You see what I'm saying? They tried to do that. They had Michael Thomas and Chris Olave. That's what we were looking for. So when Olave is now 1, Rashid is 2, and Brandon Cooks is 3, you're like, what the hell is this, right? Where's where the physical possession receiver at? So that's what it is. So B. Cooks, don't take that personal. But who steps up behind the veterans? We know that Rashid Shaheed, he's a Pro Bowler. He went to he's Pro Bowl. We know Chris Olave is a top-notch talent. We know that Brandon Cooks is a reliable veteran. But outside of those guys, who do you have? Who do you have? You have Bub Means, right? Who did some stuff well, but got hurt. We don't know what he is. We thinking he can be good. We just don't know yet. Kevin Austin Jr., the same as Bub Means, except he got drafted. Bub's a little bit more talented than Kevin. Kevin showed some stuff last year. These are young wide receivers that got hurt, but we still don't know. We've had peaks of their talent. We still don't know who they are quite yet, right? Or what they could be. Then you had guys like Cedric Wilson Jr. The Saints gave Cedric Wilson Jr. a 2-year contract to be here, right? They gave him a 2-year deal. The bottom line on Cedric Wilson Jr. is that we don't know. He was supposed to be the veteran. He was supposed to step into the possession, because when Michael Thomas left, they brought in Cedric, and he was supposed to be the possession man. It did not work out. He stunk in Kubiak's system. When he played, he was hurt a lot of times, and when he did play, he was ineffective. His blocking wasn't all that. He was out there dropping passes, and he just was not he just was a mess in that Kubiak system, right? Didn't make any sense. But then, can he get better? Now, this is a guy that knows Kellen from the Cowboys days when he had some production. Can Kellen Moore gets him to be productive inside of this offense? Can he do something? Then you got guys like Mason Tipton, Dante Pettis, who's a 6'1" wide receiver with good speed, is a good kick return, punt return man, can stretch the field for you. Guy hands, got to work on his route running, but I like Pettis a lot. He still needs to be, still need a little seasoning. He still needs some more time to develop, but he's a good young wide receiver. And then probably the X factor is Donovan Peoples-Jones. Donovan Peoples-Jones, a guy that had a 60-catch season several years ago with the Cleveland Browns. Looking for a home, Cleveland left him. He's considered a guy on the back end, not on the back end, but he's a guy that's kind of lost in the wide receiver room. Can Donovan Peoples-Jones be that X factor? Can he climb the Saints wide receiver ladder and kind of get to that fourth wide receiver slot? Can he be that guy? And of course, Moochie Dixon, Chris Tyree, these undrafted guys, more than likely headed to the practice squad. Depends. But who steps up? That will be what we're looking at. But besides the top three wide receivers, if the Saints do not bring, we know they had a flirtation with Gabe Davis. We know there were rumors speculating about Keenan Allen, even some small stuff about Amari Cooper. These are physical possession type wide receivers that will fit well next to Chris Olave. They've been in systems where they worked with Kellen Moore before. But if the Saints stance is like, oh, we're good with these wide receivers, who's going to step up from that group and become something special? Who steps up? That'll be the answer. Is it Bub Means? Is it Donovan Peoples-Jones? Who's the guy outside of the top three? You see? All right, then another wide receivers move to number 4. Can Brandon Cooks provide the veteran presence and production the Saints need? Back in New Orleans, Cooks brings speed and experience. His connection with new QBs will be key. When we know that Tyler Shuck worked with some of these other guys in the offseason, trying to get a camaraderie, a chemistry by throwing to them, trying to learn their tendencies early to give them opportunity. They have more of a seamless transition in the offense. But the reality is, what does Brandon Cooks bring? Right? Speed and experience. That's the two biggest things. How much can Brandon Cooks help the Saints? He can help them in a multitude of different ways. But in the end, the bottom line is, I still feel we need another veteran there. Now, Cooks can help the younger wide receivers, a bunch of young wide receivers. He can teach them the game. He can catch the ball. He can run good routes, and he ain't a locker room cancer or poison. So he can be a help there, but I don't know, outside of that any more than that, right? Can he be any larger than that? All right, number 5, who will emerge in the running back room behind AK-41? Who will be the guy? Well, Cam Akers, Devin Neal, Kendre Miller, Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the mix. The RB2 spot is wide open. This is what Niles is saying. I don't know if I said. I guess you could consider it wide open because it wouldn't be all these guys here if it wasn't. You don't draft a guy, and what was it, 4th round, Devin Neal, and you don't bring a guy in like Cam Akers. You don't re-sign Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You don't bring these guys in. Then there's Yarns. There's the kick return, punt return man that's also in the mix. So not to just leave anybody out of the running back mix outside the guys I said, but it's Velus Jones Jr. as well as Marcus Yarns, right? These are two guys. And Velus Jones Jr. is a guy that could make the team based on his ability to play special teams, because this will be his way to make it on the team. He can very well make it. If he's good enough for special team, they'll make him double think about this thing, right? But who will emerge? Kendre Miller, that job is in his hands. If Kendre Miller, who's supposed to be healthy starting training camp, if Kendre Miller don't bring it, they're going to have some problems, fam. I'm just going to be honest with you. What's up, A-Camp? Shout out to you, my brother. Good to see you, man. Rewind the times. What's up, brother? How you doing? Big ups to you, man. Appreciate y'all being in the live, man. All right, yeah. It's what's interesting to me, fam, is this. It's all on Kendre. Kendre Miller was given a clean slate by Kellen Moore. He told him that. So all he has to do is come to camp in great shape. Stretch. Stretch like Bruce Lee told you, stretch a lot, make sure you hydrated. Bruh. I don't know what you got to do something, brother. Because people are now saying, listen, Kendre Miller, they drafted him high. He was supposed to be the perfect complement for Alvin Kamara. At some point, he was even seen as a guy that might be an heir apparent to him. I remember there was times when they drafted Kendre Miller, a lot of people were like, man, Q, you can go ahead and let Elvin go. We got Kendre. I remember people was telling me that. I was like, no, we're going to hold on to him, brother, because we got to see if he can do it, right? We've seen what he do in college. We know that he has a talent, but he has to put it all together over a period of time for us to be able to have faith that he can do it. what Elvin Kamara did, what all the other great backs did. They were able to put it together for a period of time. And that is where we are with Kendre Miller. Now, the Saints also letting Kendre know we're not going to wait on you. That's why Cam Akers is here. That's why Devin Neal from Kansas, the rookie, he's here. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is another versatile back. So the Saints have open spots behind AK-41. And it's up to Kendre. It's up to Kendre. That is going to be an interesting battle in that running back room to see how that stuff shake up too, fam. Just to be honest, which is going to be fun watching that as well. All right. So anyway, let's keep it going. As we keep it going. All right. How will the tight end group perform, right? With Foster Moreau and Taysom Hill recovering from injury and Juwan Johnson and rookie Matavo also on the roster, the tight end group needs health and consistency. Can the new offensive line coalesce quick? I'm sorry. How will the tight end, I'm about to jump from 6 to 7. Foster Moreau, Taysom Hill recovering, and Juwan Johnson and rookie Matavo also on the roster. Tight end group needs health and consistency. We know about Juwan Johnson's contract. We know that Foster Moreau had an issue. Say he's supposed to be ready. But Taysom Hill is not ready and won't be ready until much later. Matavo was drafted in the 7th round. He was one of two of the picks with him and Fadil Diggs, the defensive line linebacker player. They brought in. Matavo was a really good, solid selection by the black and gold. Let's keep it all the way funky. Matavo was a great pickup for the Saints because he's about 6'7" or 6'8". He got soft hands. His route running is okay. He's an extreme red zone weapon, and he got a degree of athleticism to him. He ain't the fastest man in the world, but he's a solid tight end to pick up in the 7th round. How fast does he develop? Because you still got Dylan Hawker from last year, but Maliki Matavo, when you have a 7-round choice like him, how fast can they get him into the system? He is really going to be interesting to me because with injuries up at the top of the tight end depth chart, it's going to be interesting. Can Matavo rise up in that ranking? Because outside of him, the tight end room, you have what is it? We all know about Juwan, we know about Taysom's injury, so that don't count. Matavo could very well be the 3rd tight end there. He really could. I mean, you do have guys like you still have Jake Stahl, who the Saints brought in. I think Stahl would be more like he could play the tight end position, but I kind of see Stahl more as a blocking guy, right? He'll be more like a blocking, like a fullback tight end type of dude, right? Because he ain't catch many passes, but he'll block his ass off. Dylan Hawker, last year's phenomenal undrafted free agent tight end. But then there's other guys, Michael Jacobson, Seth Green, and Trayton Welch, practice squad tight end. So if you look at it, Matavo got to be saying to myself, man, there's a place for me here, right? With Taysom out, Foster dealing with injuries, and how much will the Saints be using Foster Moreau in training camp? This will open up opportunities for the undrafted guys like Hawker and Matavo to get reps. How fast can he make himself present? If he blocking and catching passes and he learns his routes, he could pick up and he can literally get to that point as early as off. Because I think next year that guy will be like, he'll be there. Because Taysom's contract will be up, Foster Moreau's contract will be up. And unless the Saints bring in another tight end to draft somebody, Matavo might have the opportunity to step up. I think him and Hawker could be the young guys trying to climb up in the tight end room, right? Gonna be fun. All right, number 7, can the new offensive line coalesce quickly? Saints drafted Kelvin Banks Jr. and welcome back a healthy Eric McCoy, but all eyes will be on the players like Trevor Penning to prove their value. We know about Dylan Runnings, who's supposed to be competing with Trevor Penning for the left guard position. We've documented that well. We talked about that. Eric McCoy's health is big. They brought Will Clappin as a backup. Still have Nick Saldiveri, who's an injured play guy. Landon Young, still Josh Ball, all these other guys don't have much. They're unproven guys. I don't know if you can rely on these guys. We'll see what's going on. But in the end, can they get it fast? Kelvin Banks Jr. is good at what he does. McCoy is a really good center. Ruiz is a decent guard, but needs to improve. The right tackle position with Tali Fuaga will be on set. He'll be elite level? What is Penning doing you in the competition with Dillon? That's the two things right there in the depth of the offensive line. But yes, indeed, I think they can get it quick. They're going to have to. Will the offensive line, number 8, will the offensive line provide enough protection? The line has struggled in pass protection. In recent years, their ability to keep the quarterback upright is foundational to success. Absolutely. Not only running, but pass blocking for guys like Tyler Shuck. We can't allow Tyler Shuck, who has a nasty injury history, to be hit and blown up on plays. Or even Spencer Rattler for that motion. We know Spencer Rattler, how he was, got chased out of the pocket last year by the Saints. But yeah, we looking at it like we're seeing the Saints running the football, because that's what it's going to be, and ultimately getting into play action. But no doubt about it, whoever's the quarterback, whether it's Spencer or whether it's Tyler, man, they're going to have to protect them. We can't let guys run around there and crack these guys up. Bottom line, right? That wouldn't be cool. All right, so let's switch from the defense, man. How will the defensive line perform? Brandon Staley's multiple front scheme will test the versatility of a line anchored by Cam, Brian Bresee, Chase Young, who's not Chase, but I mean, I get what he's saying, and Brother Devon. I have a faith in the defense. I think that success can be had when you run the ball, B, you play defense. We knew that last year the Saints had an issue with consistently stopping the run. Even though the skills of the players that they have, like if you move in Chase and Carl Granderson from defensive ends to linebackers in the 34 defense, we know athletically and intellectually they have the ability to be able to play the position. The it's not a foregone conclusion that it's going to work. We don't know if it's going to work at all. We just know that they're intelligent and they're athletic and they're up to the challenge. But, the main thing is stopping the run. Now, of course, the Saints have to get pressure on they got to get pressure on the quarterback, but also they got to stop the run and not allow themselves to get beat deep. Now, we do have Justin Reed, Tyrann Mathieu at safety. So those are two rock'em sock'em intelligent safeties to have. We do know we got a young player in Kool-Aid McKinstry in the cornerback position. That'll help. But before I go on into that is the defense. How would the defensive line perform? Because it's based on them. They still got it. We're going to use them linebackers to create pressure, no doubt about it. But up front, unless the top 3 linemen are not being held spawns, and we know Brian Bresee, we know that Vernon Brockton, from based on what tape I've seen him play, these guys are incredibly violent players that's difficult to block. And they have to set it loose and tear it up front on that 34 look. So, how will they perform with that new scheme? We'll see. Number 10, can Alontae Taylor become a true number 1 cornerback? Well, Laddie Daddy's gone. Alontae has a golden opportunity to become the lead man in the secondary. We know that he's considered to be the OG because of right? We know you got younger players there. We know about Kool-Aid. We know these other guys. So where does Alontae go this year? Is he ready? Because his is a bag waiting for him. It's a bag waiting for you, Alontae. If you can step it up. I heard what you said in the interview about when you get your next bag, you're gonna buy your mama a house and all that. Beautiful, brother. This is the thing, though. This is your time. Last year, we seen a lot of people lighting Alontae up about this, that, and the third, but he says that the hate fuels him. He said that in an interview we played the other day, that he listens today. So you always listen. Like I tell you about some of these players tell you they shut out the hate and all this kind of stuff or whatever they can. Listen, it's not hate. If people are, they questioning your ability because they're questioning your ability, or they're saying it's a certain level of consistency that you're not performing at. A lot of people out here are relatively liking you as a player, but they're saying, man, they got to be another level here. And that's the point. For you to, is there another level of Alontae Taylor, right, that we haven't seen yet? Maybe a couple of levels that we haven't seen. We know you're versatile. We know you're intelligent. I overall I like Alontae Taylor. He's a really cool, solid player for the black and gold, right? But in the end, are you ready for greatness, my brother? Are you ready? Do you have a level or a level or two that you can push it to, that you can take it to, right? That's the thing. That's the thing that we're looking for Alontae Taylor. Because a lot of people think Alontae Taylor does have some of those attributes. Tall, he's been playing the cornerback position, he said, for 8 years going back into college, right? He's a side, so he played quarterback early on. He didn't want to switch over. The coach made him switch. This is what he was saying, and I was like, okay, so you should be able to still see the game, even though you're a DB. You should still have QB insight to understand what's going on. That's supposed to be added extra caveat for you to put together in your game. A lot of these other defensive backs, they didn't play quarterback before, a quarterback. They understand the insights there. Alontae Taylor, is he a true number one? A lot of people say no. This year, we'll be able to see. Number 11, how will the new acquisitions in the secondary fit in? Justin Reed, Isaac Yiadom will need to mesh with veterans like Tyrann Mathieu. Chemistry will be critical in this revamped backfield. I think Justin Reed and Tyrann Mathieu will be fine. They played together in Kansas City, had success, no problem there. Isaac Yiadom, a veteran with the Saints, comes in, was a solid player. He knows Saints culture. He's been here. He grew up into the building. He changed his game and became worthy enough to be taken by other teams and went elsewhere. Because I remember there was a time where Isaac Yiadom was a face guarder. All he did was just face guarded the guy, never looked to turn on the ball. Then something changed in him to say, listen, am I just going to be a face guarding ass cornerback, or I'm going to be a dude that's going to look for an interception? Right? And most of the time, you face guarding, that's a confidence thing. Them guys beat out the gate. And when the wide receiver looking back for the ball, you should know the ball coming, brother. So he got better at that. He stopped the face guarding and started turning around, locating the ball, trying to make a play on the ball. That's what gets you paid. That face guard don't get you shit, but cut. Knowing when the ball is coming and turning when it's coming and making a play on the ball get you paid, brother. That gets you paid. So Isaac Yiadom been here before. I don't have no concerns about Isaac Yiadom. I think Isaac Yiadom in the role that they envision, I think he'll be fine. Then we move on to the special teams. Number 12, can the special teams unit improve? Phil Galliano takes over. His first job, clean up the coverage breakdowns and identify a reliable kick and punt returner. Right? That's pretty interesting. That's very true. And we talked about having success, and when Rizzy was running it, we would talk about a couple years ago, guys missing blocks on the return team, going down, not saying missing blocks, not blocking for your return guys running through there, and the adversaries, the ops getting to your wide receivers, to your kick returners, and knocking the piss out of them. Right, that has to change. They did better last year and the year before that, but with Phil Galliano taking over the team, we got to be able to flip the field from a special team standpoint. Not only did a pretty decent job of kicking the field goals, Burnip comes from undrafted guy from Alabama, is a punter that's good at directional kicking, punts high, can pin you against the goal, gives you coverage units an opportunity and time to get down there to defend, right, to get things covered up. Basically flatlining the return game, not giving them an opportunity to return the ball because of how how high he punts the ball in the air, right? He's really good at that. I'm expecting that to be a big additive to what happens in the Saints special teams game. And really big that we're not talking about because of the more pressure or the glory positions. We talk about like the quarterback, running back, tight, all this other stuff. Returner. Who's going to be the kick returner? If Rashid Shaheed is going to participate as a wide receiver, you don't want him often involved in special teams duties for obvious reasons, right? But who's going to be those guys? Dante Pettis should be on that list. Velus Jones Jr. is going to be on that list. You're going to have several return candidates. Who's going to be the punt return and kick return man for the Saints? Because that's improved. That's important. Being able to flip the field. And when you have an inexperienced quarterback on top of the team, it is very important for your return game to be able to flip fields and set up short fields for your offense to start from. If we can get the ball, the return game, and get it down to near midfield to our own 45 yards. Do you not understand how much pressure that takes off the young quarterback or the offense to march from their 25 or their 30 versus when they up at the 45-yard line? Because our return game is so elite where we get you up at around the 40, 45-yard line, 50-yard line. Perhaps we can get a couple of return kicks, a kick return, punt return for a touchdown. I don't remember the last time the Saints had a punt return and a kick return for a touchdown in the same year. We just don't see that enough, right? From a special teams. Ken Galliano help with that. That's big. Especially flipping the field for an inexperienced quarterback, stuff like that is really key to help the Saints. Number 13, will the Saints be able to stay healthy? Oh, my goodness. Beautiful question. Injuries to McCoy, Olave, Hill hurt the team badly last year. Load management and camp protocols will be scrutinized. This is true, especially when you get to preseason. How's that going to look? So the bottom line is, can Saints stay healthy? Y'all guys heard my spiel about the health situation. There has been nothing that I've heard from the Saints. I've heard a lot of moves. I've heard a lot of stuff about improving and the health stuff. I think they had a hire on a guy did something with it. They had one hire. I don't know if it is for the health staff in terms of it being a guy. I don't know if it was analytics or not, but I see it like this, fam. Hold on for a second. Let me say, because I remember how they did bring in a guy, but I don't know if he was an analytics guy. Yeah, Ted Rath. Yeah, they hired back in late June. They hired the Boise State trainer to fill the training staff. So that's what something they talked about last year. I remember we talked about that. The guy from Boise State. I thought it was something about analytics. They had another guy about analytics that they had as well. But the Boise State guy arrived in 2023, climbed the ladder in the sports medicine department, confirmed the move himself in an announcement. He's a younger guy, earned his bachelor's degree in biology. They don't say too much about him, but he's the new director of rehab, right? To find a new director of rehab after Jonathan Gress left. Homecoming at Oklahoma. The Saints hired Garrett Hole for the vacancy. He worked for Boise State. Assistant athletic director in sports performance and health and awareness. Okay, so they filled a guy's position with another guy from Boise State, right? And made him the director of rehab. So it's not much on him that I could talk about. So we'll see if that helps out. Now, I think they had another analytics dude that they added or something like that. But outside of that, man, all I want to see is that has to improve, right? One guy coming, I don't know if it changes anything, but that has to be a focal point with the Saints team, the Pelicans, any teams that these people own, because I don't want to hear it anymore because everybody deal with the injuries. If I owned a team and I've seen that my team was hurt year after year, but a higher degree of hurt than anywhere else in the NFL. Same with the basketball side. Then obviously, we drafted players with brittle bones and dehydrated muscles, or this health staff and these training staffs we have are not as good as we need them to be. They might be good for 6-win, 7-win. Hell, they might not be playoff style or Super Bowl or high performance training staff or health staff. You get what I'm saying? Because it's levels to everything, and obviously there are levels to the health situation. So if I'm looking at it and I'm seeing year after year my players is getting hurt like this, I'm looking and turning like, what are y'all doing about this? We're not at the mercy of the injury bug to the point where we got to keep losing. We got to do something. So I got to shake y'all loose. Listen, I'm sorry. I'm going to put you in the street. I got to go and find somebody that has a better plan than you guys, right? That's what I'm saying. We can't sit up here and continually use injuries. There is health, there's technology, there's all this other stuff that we can use. Let's ratchet all of this up, hire better people, get better technology, and then go at it. Not sit up here and say, "Oh, I hope we lucky enough." Luck don't have nothing to do with it. We have a great degree of control over this that the people ain't even looking at. A hire here or there and the stanky health matrix horror that the Saints and the Pelicans face is something we got to do something about. That to me is the number one thing that the Saints have faced, but they don't see it like that. They just see it. They just see it like, oh well, they just read up with Oshner for I don't know how much the length of the contract is, but they getting money there. So it is better for them to just spend some BS to us as opposed to go back to Oshner and say, you know what, it ain't working out. All our players getting hurt at a great amount of speed. We need to do something different. I'm sorry, we're gonna have to get from up under this deal right here. Y'all ain't working, or y'all gonna have to go and hire some better doctors to come over here with this Oshner health system, the sports medicine style. We can't play with y'all no more. The people, the support base is upset with us. We listen. To be honest with you, we've been using the hurt excuse for a long time. We even wheeled old man Cam out there to go and run around on these podcasts off season and blame it on the injury man to provide us some cover. But listen, we can't keep throwing it at them every year now. You know, it's a chip we use, but we can't throw it at them all. You know, you damn right you can't. We don't want to hit no more. We don't want to do something about it. One guy doesn't make a change, man. It's just really annoying, man. It really is. All right. So number 14, how will the team's leadership emerge? With a new coaching staff, it's up to veterans like Demario Davis to anchor the locker room and set the tone. Right? Last year, the year before that, I did not like the way Demario Davis was anchoring the locker room. Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Tyrann, all of the team captains came out making excuses about bullshit. They know damn well it wasn't just only injuries that was going on. They had Dennis Allen running around there. He didn't know what he was doing. There was no accountability in the building. Wasn't pressing them guys like that. Them guys wasn't practicing correctly. Because if they did, they wouldn't be having all of the turnovers and missed tackles and all this foolishness that was going on. The scheme would have been rock solid. Because the one thing Dennis Allen can do, he's supposed to be able to coach a defense. That's the one thing he can do. Right? But the Saints defense they were getting ran on. Guys were getting pushed around. That's how they ended up with the rankings that they have. Right? They'll do good up to a point, you know, and then some of those games wasn't on them because the offense was not existent. And when the offense keeps 3 and out, and the defense is going to get tired because they're going to be on the field more than what they're supposed to. It's not designed for that. You got to be able to balance it off and allow them guys to rest. You got to score touchdowns or have long drives to allow the defense to rest. When they get you a turnover, you got to do something with it. You can't turn. Okay, you give me I got a turnover, then we go 3 and out, and then you give it back to the other man. It don't work like that. That's a recipe for disaster. But that's on the coach. That is on the coach. He picked all them coaches. If it failed, you put it on that possum. That's the bottom line. But I did not like how they were leading the defense. They should have been lighting into to what's his face, Coach Possum. He should have been going over there and letting them know this is not how you win. Them guys been at programs where they won before. Come on, y'all know what it is. But at some point, the losing turned leaders, supposed to be leaders, into check cashers and collectors. They don't want to rock the boat. Just let me get that check. That's how quick winners turn losers if you're not about the business of straightening. That's what I'm talking about. You have to have straightening. Is Demario Davis a straightening ass dude? Can he lay it down like even when the team falling and failing and guys ain't doing what they're supposed to do? He got to lay the straightening down. And like, listen, I don't know where you guys come from, but this is not the standard of the Who Dat Nation. We ain't going in there half-ass. We're going to fight. And if you ain't ready to play, you're going to sit down and somebody else going to get up in there. Bottom line, they did not have that from a leadership standpoint. They didn't have no leadership last year with the Saints. That's why they only won 5 games and had a 7-game losing streak. And some of the games they were losing, they had the opportunity to win and would lose because they didn't know what they do. They weren't prepared to handle the business when the time came. That's what I'm talking about. And that happened over the last 4 years because of poor leadership and dumb decision making. That's what we're talking about. I sat up here and watched these games. So The leadership has to improve. Demario Davis is on his way out. So is Cam Jordan, Tyrann Mathieu. New leadership is needed. The young leaders need to step in there because these guys, a lot of these older guys, man, listen, these are Hall of Fame players, Cam, Demario, in my opinion, and Tyrann Mathieu. A lot of these young guys are going to have to step up because these guys are going to be gone next year. Cam shouldn't get no contract. Next year, we got too many young people here. Cam need to go. Tyrann Mathieu, his time is up too. And also Demario Davis shouldn't be getting no re-up contract next year. We got another players. We need to get these other guys in here and keep drafting and move this team forward like we were supposed to, right? They can't play forever. Sit them down when the time comes and let that next person come and get some of this paper. That's how you do it, right? That's how it happened before. That's how it happened before they got there to when they got there, and it'll happen the same way when they gone. So that's what the locker room, the leadership, man, has got to be on another level because they got placated to losing too easily and start making all type of excuses. That man started talking and bringing the Bible all up in there, and that ain't have even nothing to do with what we talking about on the field. He started using Bible verses to justify failure. That's not what we about, bro. We don't use that for that. What does that got to do with you not studying the playbook or not getting on the people? Oh, my bad. He couldn't get on the people because he was how you going to get on the man next to you for missing tackles if your ass is missing tackles, right? You look like the world's biggest donkey. You're like the world's biggest hypocrite. You know, I can't talk about, hey, youngster, you need to stop missing tackles, be in position when your ass is doing that. It won't work. So you have to be you got to be about the business of straightening. I don't care if they're paying you money or not. You don't sit down and placate the losing. We don't play that here. So that's why I said I'm not loyal to no players, or that I'm loyal to the concept of winning. And sometimes players get off code. They're not always on code. Last couple of years, they weren't always on code. They was on code with Dennis Allen, and they knew that man was in there messing up the team. They didn't call him out. Laddie Daddy called them out. Elvin called them out. Cam walked the line, but Demario Davis was marching people into fucking volcanoes behind Dennis Allen. He didn't utter one word against Dennis Allen about how bad the team was running. Him throwing his team under a bus. So miss me with all that. We need real leadership that's ready to win championships without making these excuses, man. That's what I'm talking about. You know, you got to be a straightener. You got to lay the game down and the truth down, even when it's not popular to do so. You got to be able to put the truth down, man. All right, let's move. Number 15, can the Saints overcome past struggles and find a winning identity? After a disappointing 2024 season, the Saints look for a culture reset. Camp will be the first chance to see if the team is truly united under Moore's vision. The bottom line to me is that Kellen Moore is more of a leader than what we had the last 4 years. He's innovative, he's young, he's approachable, he's likable. Yes, that's all the stuff that we didn't have. So with that being said, he has the coach, he has both the quarterbacks have this gritty mentality and temperament about success and winning. They're both guys that felt like, to some degree, that they plan for something. They plan for a chip. They got chips on their shoulder. They got a chip. They got to prove something to themselves, right? I'm gonna show y'all that I can play this position. I'm gonna show y'all that I can win. That's what kind of temperament that you have to have from the QB position. That's why, regardless of whoever wins the job, you win as a supporter because both of those guys embody the mentality of toughness and leadership that a quarterback must have. You didn't have that last year. We had a guy finger pointing. We had a guy, all this kind of old foolishness. Enough with all of that. If we're going to win, we cannot protect these guys' feelings and emotions and all this kind of old stuff. Get out there, get it together, learn, win as much as you can, be accountable. Very simple stuff. And those guys have the temperament. And that's why I say, I think it will work. Because the guy has a temperament. I think he has the temperament for it. And we've seen what the opposite was the last 4 years, straight off the bat. So anyway, these some of the questions. This is some of the stuff, the impact levels. The writer wrote down the questions now, who would be the starting quarterback from high to medium. And the rest of the stuff, man, you can check it out on the WhoDatDaily.com. Shout out to Niles with this article that we're talking about here. So shout out to Niles. And man, like I said, man, all I can say in the end, fam, is that it's going with training camp, get ready to start. Right? We know camp is coming up. We know that it's going to hit. We know that the Saints are going to be starting up this thing and handling the business. We know that. But in the end, I know I'm a little animated about it. But the bottom line is, this starts the training camp where the Saints, and let's, like I said, this is not, to me, they won 5 games last year because of poor leadership. It just that they had the talent. We had some injuries there, but really it was just stupidness and not accountability that really hurt this team. The guy just didn't know what he was doing. He did not know what he was doing. It's a different energy when the team can mimic the coach. Like, you have a guy that's invented that's going to come. Even the 34 defensive scheme switch change is even exciting because of the fact that you have the talent to play it. When we was watching the OTAs, you seen Chase, you seen Curl dropping into coverage and doing their thing. We've seen that happen. So to me, the way I see it, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be interesting because I can see that they will be able to run that football. That offensive line, you got Kelvin Banks Jr. If you watch tape on Kelvin Banks Jr. from the left tackle position, he will help there in running. And like I said, if you want to establish the identity, the Saints ain't going to be known for no passing team right away. I mean, that would be lovely if there is, but when you have, like I said, they're going to be a ground and pound team, which is what we like. A ground and pound team with a stiff defense and a good special teams. That gets you far. That gets you more than 5 games on an agreeable schedule where we face the Jets and all these other old people. The Cardinals, the Jets, the Patriots, the Titans, all these other people. Now, some of these people are going to be a lot better, some of them not. But the Saints, in my estimations, I don't think the Saints are worse than some of these other division follow behind teams. You know, I think the Saints can flip their win total if they establish an identity. Remember, you got to have an identity to play behind in all sports. If you got all these people, they got to understand uniformly, this is who we are. We're a running team. We're a smash mouth team, a tough, gritty team defensively. We're going to run the football, eat up the clock, work the play action. Defensively, we're going to get after the quarterback, stop the run, force turnovers, and create short field opportunities for our ground pound offense that will eat up the clock and control the playbook of our ops. Our special teams going to kick field goals, and we're going to have a good punter that will directionally punt and pin you inside the 20. This is the stuff. You set this up, you're going to flip your win total. You put up 7, 8, 9, 10 wins based on that. You know, like I said, it's not like you have a complete wipeout or washout situation where everything is just bad. I just don't see it like that. If they established an identity and it's running and they play behind that, they're going to have more than 5 games, especially if you look at that schedule. It's agreeable to them. It's all set. And then the fact of the matter that everybody, I've seen more of these rankings, people sending me. Y'all, please stop sending me these rankings. Got the Saints dead last and everything. Where the Saints they're gonna be the worst team in it. They got the Saints as the worst team in NFL. Only thing changed pretty much about the Saints. They got another head coach who's better than the last. Got a new head coach that's gonna be better than the last trash we had, and then they have a new quarterback. A new quarterback, a guy that will work in a system where you're running the football. They got the Saints dead last, picking Archie Manning's grandson in the draft. They got, I was like, what, for real? Not Arizona, not all these other teams, but the Saints are worse. Okay, I don't want to hear it, man. You know, it's just what it is. That's fine though, because now you can have that role of being an underdog. You don't have the network games and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. I'm good with that. Let's just be about football now. We don't have all the razzmatazz of the national media all on your jock, picking you to go to the Super Bowl. We don't have none of that foolishness. We're the worst team in the NFL. Fine. Let's just we'll be the underdog. Most of the time when you play teams, you might be the underdog. This kind of stuff. Fine. I'm good with that. Now let's go play some football. That's what my mindset is. That's why I'm at with mine. All right. So anyway, Hold on, fam. Let me. I'm about to hit the button right quick. I have a little problem, so y'all hold just. All right. Sorry about that, fam. I had every now and again, that's an issue where I got to reset my screen. Might have too many damn windows open. That's probably what it is. Thank y'all, man. All right, yeah, yeah. 504 said it's Giants, and yeah, I know. I've seen all of the lists. I've seen all this. Fam, I'm not paying attention to all that foolishness. Them people don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. The Saints are not the Saints are not a 9-12 team. You look at what the Saints, like I said, if the Saints did add a veteran tackle, added a veteran cornerback, and a possession wide receiver, the Saints offense teams is damn near perfect from a roster standpoint. I don't see how Kellen Moore and Shuck or Spencer Rattler make the team the worst team in NFL. And we talking about teams that weren't very good. So the Saints are worse than the Jets. Well, they got Justin Fields, so that makes them better than us. How? They got a new quarterback and a new coach. How's that make them better? I mean, just the Miami Dolphins was a team that struggled. I know that guy had at least 6 concussions and still playing. That got to be in somewhere in some world, it got to be illegal for Tua to still be playing football. That man had like 6 concussions, bro. 6 or 7 concussions. How is he still playing football, bro? Seriously? Oh, I mean, it's some of the worst. I don't mean to laugh, but I'm saying it's just silly because how in the hell is the guy? And I mean, some of the worst concussion highlights that you ever seen. He's a part of it. They got one way he laid out there, looked like somebody took him and had a huge ironing board underneath him and put an iron on him and start doing that. You know what I'm saying? And he was flat and stiff as. I'm like, how is this dude still playing football? How is that? But they gonna be better than you. Okay, that's fine. I ain't arguing with none of them. It's fine if you say the Saints is the worst. Okay, fine, fine. That's cool. All right. So anyway, much love, man. Appreciate you. What's up? What's up, Damien? Shout out. Yeah, yeah, bro. Good to see you, man. I hope you're all right, man. Much love, brother. Yeah, good to see you, man. We get close to the season. What's up, Kai? Much love, fam. But anyway, man, let me get ready to cut loose, man. Listen, I just wanted y'all just talk at y'all about the 15 things, man. Before we head into camp, like I said, tomorrow there'll be the Saints have a press conference with Kellen Moore and Mickey Loomis. They'll be doing a press conference at 2:00. We'll do a live react to that on our Patreon special. Tomorrow's Tuesday for our Patreon YouTube membership family. We'll go over that. It'll be good to talk about here what they got to say as we get ready to go into camp. They'll have questions about the health of some of the players that we'll learn. Guys like Taysom Hill, what's the timeline on him? We'll learn all the stuff. Of course, we'll get or we'll ask the questions. We'll know if we don't know if we'll get any answers about some of this stuff, but we'll get something. Hopefully, we'll learn a little bit more about it. All right. Okay, Davis has been working out of town the past 7 months. Okay, brother. Yeah, yeah. All right. Just be safe out there, my friend. Appreciate you. All right, there. All right. So anyway, man, let me get ready to run. Listen, man, listen. First of all, shout out to you guys. Appreciate you, man. We're getting ready for another season of NFL football. Sports Coma been in this thing for a while, fam. We're getting geared up for 2025 training camp. It's going to be fun this upcoming season. We got a few new things we're going to be working on. But at the end of the day, man, it's just time for football again, man. We're getting close. Hell, it's almost August coming around the way. It's almost time for the children to go back to school. All this kind of old stuff. I gotta spend some money on I buy clothes and shit. Like, damn, man, what is it almost time already? Sheesh. Here you go. All right, but anyway, man, listen, that's all right, man. You make it to spend it, don't you, baby? All right, anyway, man, listen, let me get out of here. Thank y'all, man, for listening. Y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. Check out our sponsors, our fantastic sponsors, Optory, Mint Mobile, and T. Gently. Links are in the description section below. Check out the WhoDatDaily.com. It's our official news website, not just sports and entertainment anymore, full, cabinet, political, all this kind of stuff is available at WhoDatDaily.com, your one-stop shop for all things, man, in the New Orleans area. So with that being said, I'm going to get on out. Much love to the fam. Peace, and Who Dat to you.
Yeah. Boogie like Vincent, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Vincent, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shade for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, brother like this and I'm a Who Dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a Who Dat. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
WhoDatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoDatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who Dat, you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoDatDaily.com is your site. The WhoDatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who Dat.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. You know, I first ditched big wireless and started using Mint Mobile way back in 2019. Back then, you could get premium wireless for only $15 a month. Today, Mint Mobile's premium wireless has gone up by... Okay, wow, that's it, zero. It's gone up $0 a month since 2019. That doesn't seem fiscally responsible to me, but again, you're welcome. And I'm not an accountant. Hate math. Always hated math. True story. I was in math 10A when I was in 12th grade.
Being amazing is uncomplicated with Tiege Hanley Simplified Skincare System. Here's how it works. Go to Tiege.com, pick your system, and get handsome. 3 simple steps. Wash, scrub, and moisturize. It's that simple.
Guys, go to Tiege.com and get started today.
To be a therapist, in my opinion, is one of the most humbling things ever.
A platform like BetterHelp is very important because it allows access to